Hey there everyone, happy Tuesday. I'm King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon. The clouds are here and yes, we do expect rain to eventually come from those clouds, and it's going to be a great thing because it's been a while since we've seen some rain, and for this time of the year it's actually going to be a pretty decent rain producer. So this system's going to come in, we're going to deal with the rain, and we're also going to blow out some of this wildfire smoke haze that's been across the area. Already done quite a bit with that already. But first let's talk about what's already fallen here across the region, and you can see well, a lot of zeros popping up, but what I wanted to point out is what's happening here across Clallam County and more of Vancouver Island. You see the very faint green shading popping up on our map. That's indicating that we've seen some precipitation in those locations. It just hasn't really fallen in the rain gauges themselves, but that's all going to change here as we head on into the night. So as we talk about first, though, the wildfire smoke haze, as that's now mainly getting on out of here. Air quality is improving, and we started to deal with it more across more of Vancouver and into more of the San Juan Islands, as well as up across more of Camino and Whidbey Island as well in northwest interior with that southwesterly flow. Now you can see by late tonight after midnight into the day tomorrow, all of that is gone. So the air quality right now already beginning to improve for us as of about 7 to 8 o'clock here into your Tuesday evening. Still dealing with just a bit more of that up there around more of Camino and Whidbey Island and the San Juans. But overall, things have greatly improved, and we'll continue to see that move on out of here, and tomorrow should be a much different story. And one more thing I wanted to point out here for today. Temperatures warmed up with the sunshine that we had out ahead, closer to the I-5 corridor, where we saw upper 70s to lower 80s, while off towards the west, stayed a bit cooler there, upper 60s there in Quileute, and that's our system. That's the cooler air that's going to be with us into the day for tomorrow, leading to highs for many of us only reaching the upper 60s. A few lower 70s going to be out there too. Plenty of thick cloud coverage. Steady rain changing to off and on showers, and then we'll see more of those off and on showers in quite a few spots heading into Thursday, but it's going to be a particular spot that has maybe the highest chance that we're going to talk about too coming on up, and you can see, yeah, the heat starting to creep back up again heading on into next work week. Here's the push, and we have rain beginning to pop up there. Very misty and damp looking here into our Tuesday evening, heading into the first part of our Tuesday night. Not quite here for us here in Port Angeles yet. Things cloudy, but still very quiet. And then looking at our Everett Payne field camera, a few breaks in the clouds, but generally just cloudy here for the time being. Here we are in Seattle. The clouds will continue to thicken here into the night. We're at 76 degrees, and that southwest wind comes in at 8 miles per hour. Those temperatures will drop as we head on into the night, and with more of that southwesterly flow, of course, our temperatures are going to stay elevated because that is more of a warm flow when it comes to our wind. Temperatures holding steady, more so in the lower 60s for overnight lows in a lot of spots, but you can see the timing of the rain not really happening until after midnight. So we got some time before we do start to see it, but it is going to be around for your morning commute, so prepare for that. Here's the temperature change from at this point yesterday. Did mention that with the sunshine earlier, we did warm up in a few key spots farther to the east, and that's where we have temperatures up by about 5 to 7, 8 degrees right now in comparison to numbers dropping there across Clallam County. Not by much, but down by about 2 degrees, where you can see most of those low 60s and upper 50s up across some of those parts. Here's the radar, and yes, there is rain popping up right now as we speak. Over the Olympic Peninsula, you can see a little bit, very light and faint greens shadings popping up there. That's indicating where we have some lighter, maybe sprinkles or mist. Not really steady rainfall yet. That's still just off of the coast. They are getting closer to Forks, and then especially well off the coast as you go just off to the west there. Now, this airflow pressure will continue to guide all of that into our region, and that's eventually going to pick up later on into the night. So let's talk about that timing. As we head on into the first half of the night, and really just after sunset and getting closer to about the 9 to 10 o'clock hour tonight, some showers popping up over the Olympic Peninsula, maybe seeing some of that across more of the San Juans, as well as we head on closer to that 10 to 11 o'clock time. At this point, still not a bunch of steady rain back in the forecast for us yet, but as we get past midnight, this is when you can start to see things starting to change. That's about 2 to 3 o'clock this morning, and then let's continue that on into your morning commute, when many of us are probably going to be out there 6 o'clock. Widespread steady rain. Now, models have kind of been going back and forth as to what we were going to see as far as amounts of rain. We were seeing a lot of yellow popping up here late last night, and we were thinking that that was a little aggressive by some of the models, and it looks like it has come back to more of a happy medium, and we'll show you the totals. But a lot of dark greens, steady rain, moderate pockets of rain, not much heavy rain coming through with this. But once it does start to get ready to head up into more of the Cascades, that's where you're going to see some of those yellows pop up just a bit more. Some extra lift in the atmosphere, helping to wring out just a bit moisture from some of those clouds. clouds. So that's going to help us out. That's late morning tomorrow at about 10 o'clock, and then we'll head into the afternoon, 1 to 2 to 3 o'clock. Most of the steady rain beginning to head off towards the east. But at that time, too, we're starting to see some off and on showers developing, and then more of a steady band developing up this way around Camano and Whidbey Island, up here across areas closer to more of Snohomish, and also Skagit County. That is where our convergence zone activity will keep rain for just a little while longer into the second half of Wednesday, into Wednesday night, and then you'll see that continue on even into Thursday too, before that starts to pivot a little farther to the south. That's where you can see some of those showers starting to include areas across the northern half of the Kitsap Peninsula, as well as areas across more of King County. Once we get past Thursday morning, most of that dies off, and then we're starting to see things not only just dry out, but clear out to a certain degree too, as we head later on into our afternoon, heading on into Thursday. Now, your precipitation totals with this, we're going to see some of those amounts anywhere between about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rain. Pretty impressive stuff, right? This is going to be really good and beneficial. And one spot I wanted to point out in particular, where you can see there in Mason County, Shelton picking up close to about 2/3 of an inch of rain. That will be great news, especially if we can get that closer to that Lake Cushman fire around areas there in more Mason County. Outside of there, convergence zone activity gets us up to about maybe 3/4 of an inch around those spots, but there's a wide swath of 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rain, and that has increased from what we saw earlier into the week, which was between about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. So it increased a lot last night, and then we start to see it come back down to more of an acceptable range here. So get ready for that. You can be able to put away the sprinklers for tomorrow, and just make sure to have the rain gear as you head out into the day for tomorrow too. So we get past that system. Then check out what happens right after that. As we head on into the latter part of the work week, we'll start to see that big, deep area of red. That's a ridge of high pressure start to approach the Pacific Northwest. With that happening, it's going to help to warm things up. You got sinking gear. You're going to start to develop more of an offshore push, and that gets much closer to us heading on into Sunday. You can see deeper reds popping up here across more of western Washington and also western Oregon. That hangs with us into Monday. And then also, it looks like Tuesday we're dealing with it to a certain degree as well, although it looks like it's beginning to retreat back off to the west at that point. And as we go later on into next Wednesday, we'll start to see things cool back down just a bit more. But next Monday and Tuesday, prepare for some of this heat that's going to be in place. Highs back into the mid, maybe even perhaps the upper 80s, falling back down into the mid 80s as we head on into next Tuesday. For right now, the average high is at 79 degrees. That changes on Sunday. That's when our averages start to go back down to 78 and eventually continue on here through the end of the year. So we got some more heat to come, and yes, we are still in summer, but tomorrow is going to be a cool one. Tonight, temperatures dropping down into the 50s and low 60s. Highs tomorrow up around 68 in Bellingham. We'll top off at 67 in Orcas Island, a high of 68 in Blaine, reaching 67 in Arlington, Monroe, hitting 69 there. Gold Bar up to 67. Coupeville, mid 60s with lower 70s around Kingston, Paulsville, and in Bremerton. We top off at 70 in Des Moines, 66 in Maple Valley, 71 in Redmond with more low 70s around Belfair, Tacoma, Puyallup, Eatonville at 68 and 69 in Tenino. Continue down farther south, and you can see the 60s are going to be with us down this way through Centralia all the way down to Longview, including out towards the coast. Not big contrast in temperatures, as this cloud deck will really help to provide more of a uniform temperature for many spots, except out towards the south coast where we're expecting more of the low to mid 60s. So seeing more of that too up across the north coast as well. Quilcene will warm up just a bit more up to 72. Shelton reaching a high of 70 degrees. And here's your 7-day forecast. We got the active and the cool weather here on into the middle part of the week. Wednesday and Thursday looking to be cloudier, cooler, and a bit wetter too, especially into the first half of the day on Wednesday. Once we get past that though, Friday is more around a comfortable range, mid to upper 70s. We'll see more of that too with partly sunny skies heading into Saturday, and then expect the sunshine and the heat to make a grand return into the start of next week, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, with those highs climbing well into the 80s in a lot of those locations. All right, again, everyone, well, get ready for the rain. Don't forget the rain gear if you're going to be heading out the door tomorrow. Maybe give yourself a little extra time, as, yeah, the roads and the highways and the streets will be wet for your drive. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great Tuesday night. We'll talk to you soon.